You think your dog is just tired, getting older, or having an off day. But when weakness suddenly appears in the back legs, there is often a much deeper story unfolding inside the body. Because dogs don't simply wake up one morning and decide to stop using their hind legs normally. When movement changes, something has usually changed in the systems that control strength, balance, or coordination. Most people never realize that the back legs do far more than provide movement. They support balance, stability, jumping, running, standing, and even confidence. That's why when weakness appears there first, it can be one of the most noticeable and most concerning changes a dog can experience. At first, the signs are easy to miss. Maybe your dog struggles slightly when getting up from the floor. Maybe it hesitates before climbing stairs. Maybe it slips occasionally on smooth surfaces when it never used to. None of these moments seem dramatic on their own. In fact, many owners dismiss them as simple aging. But what nobody tells you is that weakness often appears before complete loss of strength. The body usually gives small warnings long before major mobility problems develop. And there is one detail that reveals whether the problem may be more serious than it first appears. But we'll get to that shortly. One of the most common causes of sudden hind leg weakness is pain. Not always visible pain either. Dogs are remarkably skilled at hiding discomfort. Instead of crying out, they often compensate. They shift weight, alter their posture, or reduce movement. The result is a dog that appears weak when, in reality, it may be trying to avoid pain. This is why some dogs seem perfectly normal while lying down, but struggle once they start moving. The weakness is not always a lack of strength. Sometimes it's the body's attempt to protect an injured area. But pain is only one possibility. Sometimes the problem involves the joints themselves. Arthritis, hip issues, or injuries can reduce stability and make the back legs feel unreliable. You might notice your dog walking more slowly, taking shorter steps, or avoiding activities it once loved. And here's where many people make a mistake. They focus on the legs. But weakness in the legs does not always originate in the legs. Because movement begins in the nervous system. The brain sends signals through the spinal cord and nerves to every muscle involved in movement. If those signals become disrupted, even slightly, the legs may no longer respond normally. That's not just weakness. That's communication breaking down between the brain and the body. And this is where the situation can become more serious. Have you ever noticed a dog crossing its back feet awkwardly, dragging its toes, or stumbling without an obvious reason? Most people assume clumsiness. But these small coordination changes can sometimes indicate that the nervous system is struggling to send accurate signals. The muscles may still exist. The strength may still be present, yet the instructions are no longer arriving correctly. This creates a frightening illusion. The dog looks weak, but the deeper issue may be neurological rather than muscular. There is also another hidden cause many owners never consider: systemic illness. The body relies on energy, hydration, oxygen delivery, and proper metabolic balance to maintain movement. When those systems become disrupted, muscles often suffer first. The back legs, carrying much of the dog's weight, may begin showing signs before other areas. This is why weakness sometimes appears alongside subtle symptoms that seem unrelated: reduced appetite, increased sleeping, slower reactions, or less interest in normal activities. At first glance, these changes don't seem connected, but the body functions as one system. When one major system struggles, the effects spread everywhere. And now we come to the critical detail mentioned earlier. The most important thing to watch is whether the weakness is progressing. A dog that has one difficult day may recover. A dog whose weakness worsens day after day is telling a completely different story. Progressive weakness means the body is losing its ability to compensate. Whatever process is causing the problem is continuing to advance despite the dog's efforts to adapt. That's the moment when a small concern can become a significant medical issue. Because dogs are masters of compensation. They hide discomfort, they adjust their movements, they keep trying. And often, by the time weakness becomes obvious to us, they have already been compensating for quite some time. This is what makes sudden hind leg weakness so emotionally difficult for owners. One day, everything seems normal. Then small changes appear: a stumble, a hesitation, a struggle to stand, and suddenly you realize your dog is moving differently. What feels sudden to us may have been developing quietly beneath the surface for weeks or even months. So the real question isn't simply, why are my dog's back legs weak? The deeper question is, what has changed inside the body that is preventing normal movement from happening? Because weakness is rarely the problem itself. It is a signal that the muscles, joints, nerves, or internal systems are no longer working together the way they should. And if this makes you look at those subtle mobility changes differently, that's important. Because some of the most serious health issues don't begin with dramatic symptoms. They begin with small changes in movement that seem easy to ignore. Until one day, they aren't.